So we are ready. And let's start with the game number 1 then. There has been an extended pause. We have seen that in the countdown into the spectator delay, so we are going to be having a bit of time to have a look around. And the first map is going to be Migration. I think it should be a home map of LeO's, if I have seen it correctly, or if I remember correctly, or whatever else I was about to say. And we have already seen this map between BF and ROR, and it was kinda interestingly fast, as there was a triple Viking for ROR, which they definitely didn't know anything how to play at all, and they lost in like 15 minutes or some such nonsense, really fast. So let's see if this game is going to be better, and it seems like that it will be, because we are seeing quite different civilizations, Huns, Japanese, Vikings from LeO's, whereas VNs are having Persians, Japanese, and Vikings as well, of course. Well, so far looking at the islands, I don't really have any kind of problem with them, but what is interesting is that actually multiple of them are plastered next to a wall, which is usually an advantage on migration, because it means that your opponents cannot go behind the island, which is often threatening to the resources and also to the fishing boats, of course, that you are having behind your island, as this means that the opponent has to go around it, all the way around, and that's all that easier to either, I don't know, just hide your ships or just, yeah, basically kill the opponent's boats. So, yep, that is how advantageous this kind of map spawn, how, or rather, that Sci-Fly and Hightower are having. And Dagobert kind of have as well. Oh, actually fully. Okay, so that's all three LeOs are having the same spawn, whereas for the opponents, it's just, literally just the Pocket Milo. And well, they are going to be having a bit more normal game. As you can see, it is passable at the bottom and at the top very much so. So this is really quite nice defensible map for LeO's, and let's see if they can take advantage of that lucky spawn for them. Otherwise, the placement of the mines is not really ideal right now as we are looking at Dagobert, as this is going to be well in range of boats right off in Feudal Age, I would have to say, the stone definitely. But in the Castle Age, this is going to be shooting at the gold very easily, and I'm expecting that in the Imperial Age, if they happen to lose the water, this is going to go back to bite them quite strongly. So far, he's going to be having a bit of fun luring the deer inside the town center and such, as that's basically what you do in the early game, as there's nothing much else to do. And looking overall, there's not much of a bad place for the yellow player to place the dog, and this one is definitely going to be nice, as there is a whole lot of deep fish in the darkness or the depths of the water scene here. So this is very nice corner for LeO's, and he will be having a very pitched battle for that with his opponent Dark Knight, who is Viking. And since Dagobert is Japanese, well, that's going to be tough. Yeah, it's going to be tough because Japanese usually go for faster castle, and if that's going to be happening with the galley rush expected from the Vikings, yeah, he's going to lose quite a lot of economy very soon. Otherwise, looking at the mines, it's basically the same case as for LeO Dagobert. Not really going to be happy about it if he happens to lose the water. And while continuing with the other players, let's check that as well. Gold, fine. Stone, oh, well, not so much. The bottom side could be, even in Castle Age safe, but Imperial Age is not going to be safe at all. And he's already working, as we have talked about it, on Yellow Island. Trying to make sure that the deer are closer to the TC so that he doesn't have to spend any kind of resources on mill to deer them and get them into his stockpile of food. A lot of deep fish in here as well on the left, so that's definitely a pretty nice spot for Milo. And since he's picking with the first dog to go exactly in here, having a very nice position of both the shorefish and the deep fish in here, well, this is going to be a very nice boom for him. Well, couldn't be, or rather doesn't have to be all that great if he happens to place the dock apart here, the second one, which is definitely going to be happening, because usually when you are a pocket, you are building docks on both of your sides, because you are both want to be able to help your teammates on both sides, but also you want to take advantage of both the fishing spots, and if he happens to place it about here and not at the back it would be pretty much okay due to the deep fish. It is going to delay his economy, and he might not be as efficient as potentially his opponents, like for example the yellow player that we were talking about a bit earlier. Yeah, he doesn't have that bad spot, and if he places it about here, it's still going to be pretty much fine, even though you don't place a dock in the channel, because that's quite obviously ineffective looking at the corners and such. So the first dock from Hightower as the pocket for BS, or not really for BS, for LeO, is also in a pretty decent position, having a lot of deep fish in there. But otherwise, at the bottom, Well, not really a problem for the early game. There is enough of the fishies in here, but once the game goes about, I don't know, 25-30 minutes, they are going to be running out quite significantly, and the water economy is going to be pretty much dead. So by that time, he better hope that he's already established on the land, because if he isn't, the water economy is most definitely not going to sustain him for much longer. This is a very sweet spot for the blue player, for LeO Sci-Fi. That's so sweet. All those fishies jumping around here. But he has opted for a defensive build-up, which is kind of expected, because we are yet again seeing quite a big difference in the levels in here, or rather in ratings, not necessarily in the levels of the play, as in team games. Team play is much more important than individual skill, but still, it has to be said that VNs are basically a 2K clan, whereas LeOs are something like 1600, maybe up to 1700. And even though they've played quite nicely this season, having pretty good record overall, they still aren't really up to par with the very top of the game. But let's see, maybe they will be joining just today. That could just as well happen. Looking for the second dog, I would be thinking, Colin. Right now switching into Lumberjack. So she was probably just looking around, scouting a bit, so that actually she knows, rather he knows, Colin, if it's going right next to the wall, which it isn't. And he's all the wiser just about now, and will be seeing that he needs to take care of the back spot if he doesn't want to be surprised. Of course, not really all that much fishies, all that many fishies, sorry, in the middle. That's kind of usual. You don't really have all that many of them in there. And well, in the end, she did switch into the second dock as you were expecting. And that's, of course, on the other side of the island. And that's a very good spot. Very good spot for the meantime. But I don't really agree that it's going to be all that useful for the longer game. But looking at the sheer emptiness, it's not like it matters all that much. Let's be clear about that. Even if he placed it about here, that would mean literally nothing because of the nothingness of the deep blue in here. But the corner is still pretty nice, and he will be probably hoping that he can drop docks about on the mainland in here, as that will definitely help him in the economy in the later game. We already see exactly what we were expecting from Milo, having pretty nice economy on the water and going to be moving pretty nice spot. Yeah, that's a good placement and not a bad placement as it was talked about the front. And well, we are going to be seeing advances into the Feudal Ages for Dark Knight, Melancholy, and Dagobert. So that's all going to be galley rushing. Dagobert going quite fast, to be honest. Slightly unexpected, but he probably wants to have a bit of an edge on his opponent. And he doesn't even know that it's going to be a Viking. He's going to be just discovering that. And I'm not sure if he's going to be all that happy about it, because of course his economy is going to be weaker, whereas the Vikings stronger, and at the same time the Vikings still has the 20% cheaper boats. So, well, I'm kind of afraid that it might be a very short fight for the yellow player, as I don't expect that he will be able to keep up in the minutes to come. Otherwise, Milo is quite clearly fast castling, high tower as well, and not advancing into feudal and are rising in the villager count, and also having a pretty decent boom on the economy on the water, as they are having pretty decent amount of fishing boats, especially Milo at already 14, with Melancholy also having not a bad echo, so it's interesting. Dropping and Doc, of course, in the forefront, as he's going to be hoping place his opponent head on. And well, it seeming lie that actually LeO is LeO Sci-Fi is not all that happy about the prospect, and he's not really building them all the way in here, which would be basically because of the shorefish and deep fish as well, and the much more better placement of the dog. But he wants to kind of cover this channel and make sure that not all that many boats actually go into the pocket player, which is nice to see. But this is just Lenio that is really quite worried about what his opponent is going to bring to him, even though he is the Viking, so he should be the one putting the pressure on the opponent. Well, economy getting stronger in the pocket in here, and in the meantime, before some first engagements are happening, some significant first engagement, this is also pretty important though, as Dark Knight is going to be, oh, yeah, I was going to think that maybe if he was forced to be having just 2 docks, it would be kind of problematic, but with 3 already up, I don't really think that this 4 dock missing, at least for the moment, is going to be all that much of a problem, as you can see that he's already having enough boats defending himself, and not really any kind of reinforcements coming from the yellow player, and he's really just jumping onto the mainland, so they are having a special game plan, which is definitely nice to see, and something that we would be expecting. So nicely played by yellow. So that's basically just a decoy. And he should be careful not to really let his opponent come nearby so that he doesn't give up this position in it out here. Waiting for some extra release. Yes, he is. And he's going to be dropping into mainland, which unfortunately isn't really nicely spawned for him because I don't see any gold. Any gold whatsoever, like literally none. Oh well, this is bad. This is bad for them actually. There is a lot of gold at the bottom. And stone mines as well, so this is quite nicely spawned for VNs. And the closest gold for him is not in here even, just at the very bottom, which is in near the pocket player high tower. So yeah, not ideal for the yellow player, but still, if he actually goes into the mainland this fast, he still might be able to control it just for himself. Doing a pretty good job on the water fight as well. As really, faster advance onto the mainland could be working for him quite nicely. So looking for the fishing boats and anything reminding everything else. Okay, so they are just waiting for each other, Sci-Fi and Melancholy. Because Melancholy probably is realizing that his opponent is going to be Viking. Not exactly sure how he could be realizing it, but he is waiting for correct number of boats. And are they going to miss each other? With this patrol, I don't expect so. No, he isn't. And well, with reinforcements exactly on time, I think they should be forcing Melancholy to retreat. As the numbers are right about now for the Viking, and with extra boats coming in, exactly, should be forcing his opponent basically to stay in the spot in here. So that was a big landing. Market and blacksmith. And I think he would do a good job actually to delete the transport boat. Because he doesn't want to give it up to his opponent, as VNs are experts, so they will know how to react. They would be able to jump onto the mainland themselves pretty fast, and it's just a mistake. This is just a shame. Because right about now I think that VNs will be realizing what's happening. That he has landed pretty fast, and they might be landing themselves. You can see that already Milo is on the mainland. So they have realized that something is going on, and Velvny has already landed as well with the TC coming up as he is in the castle age, and this is a very good placement, as obviously these gold, these boars, berries even and the stone, this is absolutely sweet spot for him, and if he's going to be controlling this part of the map, well, good luck LeO's dealing with the problems that are going to be coming your way. In the meantime, LeO is doing a pretty good job setting himself up. If it was for the Wolfie, but he's a Loom at least. So not any kind of problem, of course. And he's just guarding right now, waiting for his opponent to come to him. And he's definitely gonna come, especially since he's going into castle and quite a lot faster than LeO Dagobert. So the war galleys are going to be sooner in here, together with upgrades as well, like Botkin Arrow. Yeah, of course. Right now coming from Melancholy at the bottom, and we are seeing something interesting in here. Not much. Just literally healing themselves out, and they are not thinking that they can breach the opponent's blockade and go into raiding onto the economy, which is also not a bad news for either pocket of the teams, for Milo and Hightower, because it means that their water economy is quite safe. You can see that right now Red is also jumping onto the mainland as well with stables and such, and this is really very fast landing. We are at 20 minutes, and the players are just landing all over the place. And that's because basically LeO's realized that they have kind of limited chances on the water against the skilled players, as water battles are all about micro and basically better skill wins, can be said, and they are hoping that their fast landing is going to be what wins them the game, and the stalling on the water, which they hope to turn into their opponents overcommitting and wasting resources. So Knight's already in. Right now they are discovering that Milo is also present. So that's probably a bit of a surprise for them that they did not really expect all that much. But well, since there are going to be two in there, University coming up, curiously not a TC. I'll be expecting that TC would be the first to be dropped. Let's switch into Dagobert. Weird, he could be having the resources, so that's really unexpected, but at the meantime, it has to be said the Hightower is quite nicely prepared in here, also because of the sling. I think he was the one that was slung a bit earlier. Yeah, Hightower was actually slinging. He was slinging a bit into Sci-Fi. And there was also a bit of slinging from VNs from Milo into Melancholy and Dark Knight, so we are probably going to be expecting A whole lot more slinging coming down the way, especially from the Vikings players when the water is somehow finished for either side. Doesn't really matter for which one. So on migration, the water is not really something that is so crucial to winning you the game. Castle for Starfly and Husbandry for Hightower, as the Persian player is quite nicely preparing himself, with of course Monastery to go for the relics and to counter the knights. And a bit of a wolf train. Let's see if he's going to deposit it right next to the base of the purple player, who is of course going to be going for stables. Is expected from a Persian going into Imperial Age already, so that's quite a lot faster than what the opponents are having. And oh well, that was interesting. But at the same time, yeah, he was probably too concerned getting the relic back, so that was the extra time that the knight needed before being converted in there. We have a palisade micro happening to protect the stable and the villages, and otherwise there's of course going to be a bit of fighting at the top, but not anything substantial, because Yellow knows that he's gonna get toasted pretty soon, and he's just concentrating to stalling his opponent and setting himself up on the mainland. But since he knows that the situation is gonna get pretty crucial, or rather pretty stupid, might be already thinking, oh, this is not a bad idea, thinking about transporting a bit more villies, especially because of the bad placement of the resources. But this TC should be helping him quite nicely, as it will should add the boats quite sufficiently to repel them, I think, and that will be nice for him in the game to come. Blue landing as well, so that's all three LeOs exactly on the mainland just about now, and well, right next to the gold mine, exactly the only one on LeO's side. Whereas blue is having what in here? Just waiting for the gray. So yeah, this battle hasn't moved an inch from where we left it a bit earlier. Okay, so that's a bit more villages than actually from Sci-Fi. As Milan is going to be coming for a TC about what we may be expecting this gold. Oh, maybe even not. Just contents to be about this position, doesn't want to risk really all that much. You can see dead bodies of the horses in here as well, and that also means that Milo is going to be having a bit of help on the mainland, and all the knights, together with the monks, and of course extra camels, are going to be trying to counter those units. Alright, so that was quick. I was thinking that actually there might be a bit more extra game, but the water is lost, and I'm thinking that LeO are actually realizing that their opponents are already in the place, that Milo is quite nicely prepared, and since the Hightower wasn't really able to do anything with him, somehow stop him or anything, they are recognizing that this is not really going to go anywhere, especially since they are not advancing into Imperial Age, whereas Milo is already in, having Cavaliers, so yeah, it's kind of understandable where the where actually the GGs came from. And well, this is it then for the first game, and VNs are taking a 1-0 lead. But nice attempt by LeOs. It almost worked out. Maybe if the map spawn was slightly better for them, and maybe if they didn't actually give up the fast landing by showing the transport ship to their opponents. That was, I think, a pretty big mistake in there. So let's have a look at the post game with Milo, yep, in the pocket, and Persian, so of course, having the highest score, but Dark Knight playing quite nicely. But as a Viking, it's also not any kind of unexpected achievement. Not much of a slinging in the end. It was all up to all the players in there. But this was a very nice Imperial Age by Milo, and definitely something that surprised LeOs big time. Big time indeed, and the super strong economy in here. Well, they play nicely. So, GG.